Now, you mentioned several minutes ago that the planning wasn't always natural to you or a part of your regular discipline and habit. Uh, what did you do to sort of cultivate that in yourself? Was it going out and finding a coach, finding a system, a framework? Because I have to imagine there's probably several visionary type leaders that are just, hey, I'm moving fast and I got big ideas. I'm going to do these things. And I hear what Brian's saying and it's important, but my God, how do I slow down long enough to add these pieces in to help myself when it feels like it goes so much against the grain?
There was a time, and you'll find this part interesting. I was going through Leadership Tyler, and I was working on my master's in global leadership, and I'd taken an assessment that really helped me to pinpoint that I didn't really have vision and planning as part of my leadership skill set. So at this
Huh.
point, I was probably 32-ish, and I just didn't have that kind of growing up, and I didn't have it really, despite the being under some great leaders in my first 10 years of
Mm-hmm.
my career, that just wasn't a part that I gained from them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I identified it, that it was lacking through an assessment that I took. And
Mm-hmm.
then I sought out a mentor. There was a gentleman that I knew that his dad was a 3-star general. He had a strong
Wow.
military background. After his military career, he went to med school, and
Wow.
super sharp, but quite the planner
Mm-hmm.
and quite the vision kind of guy. And so I asked him to mentor me, and he said yes. And again, I asked him to mentor me specifically on that aspect. Okay. So not
Yeah.
just a general. So I was very clear. And so he showed up at our first breakfast with a notebook. And I'm not kidding you. It was this thing. It was probably for those of you just listening, it was probably about 4 or 5 inches thick of things, of articles and things. He signed some books and things like that. But just we did a lot of reading and a lot of discussion. And then Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans. And it
Mm-hmm.
turns out that he and I ran a shelter at UT Tyler for Hurricane Katrina evacuees.
Wow.
And that was a place that we really put into place that vision and planning
Hmm.
because it was fast. It was basically
I'm
one day
sure.
I went to the city and said, hey, if y'all need anybody to lead a shelter, give us a call. It was
Mm-hmm.
a group from Grace Community Church.
Yeah.
And about 4 hours later, they called and said, all right, we've got a shelter. And we had no manual, we had no background, we had no experience. I would say we ran a great shelter, and I'd give so much credit to Scott for the
Mm-hmm.
way we did that, but that helped me to see it. We had the lessons at the local coffee shop, breakfast place, and
Yeah.
reading, and now we put them into action. I would consider it a strength of mine, but it was certainly a skill that I lacked for the first uh, significant part of my life.